Hey everybody, this is Way to Fail, and welcome to Game 3 of the Scrolls Invitational Open Qualifier Tournament Final between Artr0x and Light. We are currently tied 1-1, with both players getting dominating victories. So we're kind of at a reset here. This means we are going to be possibly going up to Game 5. But this is going to be a replay using the Summoner mod, watching from Artr0x's perspective. So far we've had two solid games by both players, but let's see what Game 3 is going to hold. This is starting to be an interesting hand. Two kabonks from Artr0x, so once again, he does have a respawn in case Light tries to put out early Vaders. The Pother's a useful card. Skirmisher and Speed. Maybe Speed the lowest priority card because he doesn't have other creatures out. Artr0x saying, let's make it epic. Both of these players are very friendly with each other, but very familiar with each other. Both of them constantly hovering around the top 100 players. So Artr0x drawing in early Imperial resources that he'll probably want to pocket, goes ahead and gets rid of his first card, which is the Pother, because there's nothing to really move or draw. And he sacrifices for resources, and there's the Vader, and that poor Vader is going to eat it so very fast. As Artr0x ditches the Imperial resources, no reason to pocket it at this point. That's why he's a much better player playing in this tournament, and I'm the one casting it. So Light sacking for resources as well, as we're getting a pretty fast opening between these two players. But Artr0x getting a lot of skirmishers in his hand. This could ramp up to be another devastating frontline force. As Artr0x's goals, he's explained in his deck before, is to not play so much the tiny creatures, but to start getting out beefier units and overwhelm with Order's superior forces. So Light getting out a Brother of the Wolf, which is a great card for growth because it can summon creatures and or attack. Artr0x electing to go for resources, and he can get out a Ducal Skirmisher as well. So right away, Light's going to have to respond creature for creature at some point here. And there's a Sister of the Fox. At least one card that can be put down just a little bit, and maybe get some other card draw. So both players kind of staying in their lane. Artr0x having control of the middle of the board. And he elects to get rid of the other Skirmisher just because two Skirmishers are good, but two Skirmishers supported or protected by a Vanguard is even better. So there's first idle damage right now, but it doesn't mean a lot early. What's more important is that Artr0x has a lot of creatures on the board. There's a Fertile Soil by Light, so he does get some more scrolls, but how's he going to follow up? He starts by hitting on, or excuse me, not hitting on, that'd be an entirely different kind of game. He does start by poisoning and then then Ragged Wolfing this Vanguard. So he is going to be going down to at least 1 health eventually, as Artr0x gets a speed, and he can hold on to it. He can play one or both Spearmen if you like, or he could play Spearmen or he could hold on to it. But he decides to split his row just a little bit, as this guy is going to be attacking and taking out the Ragged Wolf. Light seems to not be too concerned about sacrificial Ragged Wolves. They're there to do damage and then to carry on and not be an endangered species. So let's see here. The attack from Artr0x once again getting some idle damage. And there's a Kinfolk Veteran that I imagine maybe Light would have preferred to have played before. But that Kinfolk Veteran is going to take out this Vanguard instead of just the one remaining damage to the poison. So he's not gunning for these Spearmen like maybe he was last time. And now this Skirmisher is in a little bit of pain. But Artr0x does have a Speed General combo that he could possibly play. He sacrifices for scrolls. He gets a pushback that he could use. He gets any number of cards, but there is the focus, and that focus is going to allow him to take out the Brother of the Wolf before he can attack. So while he could have focused and taken down the Ragged Wolf and Kinfolk Veteran, he elects to take out the card that's going to be a threat next turn, because quite frankly, he does have plenty of cards that he can play to deal with these two units, who are a little bit slower and won't be possibly spawning units all over the board. So Fertile Soil from Light, as he's trying to play the longer game to protect his units, gets a Kinfolk Brave up there, but that's going to leave the door open for Artr0x to start slowing down, getting his general out, trying to protect his units. You'll notice Artr0x isn't playing with Waking Stones. Instead, he's playing with units like Spearmen to protect his front line. So there's the general, and he's placed the general in an area to where Light isn't going to be able to attack it, at least not with the cards we've seen him play so far. So Light with his Veteran and with his Brave both attacking next turn. He could try and be overly aggressive and take out the Spearman, but he elects instead to go for the Idol and maybe bait Artr0x to move his units up 1 row. So there's a Pother on the Jarl, and that's a very fortunate Pother once again. He could have moved him up and out of the harm's way. But instead that Pother moves the Jarl down, and it is immediately vulnerable between these two skirmishers. So yes, it is a card game. Yes, luck sometimes comes into play. But it does really got to hurt Light that he got that Jarl out so fast, and it has just been removed just by one quick move. So there is the return Pother trying to get some card draw, and there's a Ragged Wolf. So both players able to chip away at forces, and actually there's a Kinfolk Veteran as well. So Artr0x doing a great job of clearing out creatures this time. I think we're going to be having a closer game here than we have a little bit earlier in the series. So Artr0x electing to move up his general. Is he going to drop somebody in front of him? No, he moves the Knight Scholar up to the top, and there's the speed. Speed General, one of the most devastating combos you can get in this game, and you can see there was just 2 cards to play between the Knight Scholar and the Blessing of Haste. Or actually, no, that was just a Blessing of Haste, which means Artr0x still has his speed in his pocket. So whatever Light plays, if he plays it up here, it could be getting eaten next turn. And there's a Sister of the Fox. Just once again going for more card draw, but card draw isn't always going to be a good response against these creatures as Light's looking for something to play. I don't think we've seen a single Quake from Light yet, but Quake isn't going to do nearly as good against Order with these beefier units. So right here, Light having all kinds of goodies that he can play with, and he could possibly speed and maybe take out most of the creatures except for the Great Wolf. But he's just going to use Imperial Resources because at this point the board's not nearly as much of a threat as maybe it could be. He moves his creatures up just to protect against any kind of rallying or God Hand play that could take out his general because, oh lordy, you want to hold on to that general as much as you can. As Light gets more card draw, and both players have been able to hurt some idols. But at this point it looks like they're just trying to go on either side of the board. Are we going to have some kind of race or something? I don't know. But this could possibly be trouble for Light. If you look at Artr0x's hand, he has 2 focuses. He has a Mangonel. He has a speed. He could do some serious damage to Light's units. Now, Light has actually split out his units a little bit so that they can't all be Mangonelled. But if Artr0x wanted to, he could take out the Brave and the Great Wolf, or he could focus on pumping out more creatures and save the Mangonel for a rainy day. So he does have another Imperial Resources, and he elects to go for another rainy day, just try and go for the card advantage. But if Light doesn't reposition his units, they could get blasted into the water or out of the sky or whatever place cards go, as there's a Ranger's Bane on the general. Got to start trying to do some damage to it somehow. As Light plays the Brave up top along with an Ancestral Totem. I mean, it's an interesting placement to me just looking from over here, even without the benefit of having Artr0x's hand in front of me or Light's hand in front of me. I'm not exactly sure what he's going for here. This totem is very vulnerable to being killed within a turn or two. This Brave isn't the beefiest wall unit. Maybe Artr0x could have been going for racing the bottom of the board, or not Artr0x, but Light could have been going for racing the bottom of the board. But as it stands right now, there is the Pother and there is the Honorable General's countdown dropping down to 0 as everyone's going to get to attack. That line by Light is going to be taken out so fast. Maybe he's trying to get Artr0x to move his ball of death up to the top by giving enticing targets. I don't know. This has also been a very long one-day tournament, and both of these players, I'm sure, are starting to feel it. But right now, the Pother by Artr0x, probably to try and move the Brother of the Wolf into speed Mangonel range, but that's not going to happen here. So he does get the Mangonel out, and he is going to go ahead and speed it. And is he going to focus? Yes. So this is going to take out the Brave. Oh, and there's a flip as well. I forgot about the flip in the hand. So he had the Pother. He tried it, but the flip is going to move this Brother of the Wolf, and all these units are going to eat it. Flip, such a devastating card when you're able to play it just right. And that is how you play it just right, as Artr0x gearing up, getting all of his stuff out on the board, as Light looking like he had some board control or some semblance of it, at least at the bottom. One speed Bangadel is enough to take the game back into Artr0x's hands very forcefully. So he decides to actually play the Kinfolk Veteran, which actually he could have possibly moved this Ragged Wolf another direction and taken out one idol if he had played the Veteran to take down the Mangonel. But instead he elects to do a little bit more idle damage and do 1 damage to the Mangonel. So Artr0x in very good position now after that devastating speed mangonel flip mode. That extra flip, man, it will really get you if you're not careful. So there's 2 Knight Scholars as well, and this is where the growth curve, or excuse me, the resource curve of order by turn 10, turn 15 can really start to get out of control, and those mangonel clears can be a really big deal. Light getting out a Great Wolf, but he doesn't have the resources to play too much else. As Artr0x could push back, but he elects to get rid of it because he can get out another Honorable General. He could get out a Royal Spearman. He could play a Blessing of Haste. And I don't think he can end the game this turn, but he can get pretty close if he elects to play the speed, if he elects to do anything. But Artr0x not in any rush to hurry. He does have a giant card advantage. He does have a great resource advantage. That's what Imperial Resources will do for you. And he has a lot of cards that he can play. So there's the Vanguard, and he could play a Spearman, and he does. So right there, a huge board. There's the Blessing of Haste as well. And there is the Transposition just for extra card draw. And the Mangonel is actually going to do even more damage. Now, it's not going to take out this Ragged Wolf because now that it's in the back row, it's going to attack last, but it's going to do some damage to the Great Wolf. So just devastating turns by Artr0x. Has to be maybe one of the most demoralizing things that I've seen, as he could have possibly taken out some idols or some more idols here, but instead, you do not want to see just 2 turns in a row. Speed Mangonel, Flip Mangonel, Blessing of Haste, Honorable General. Just tough as there is Light conceding the GG again. Just too much. Overwhelming by Artr0x as he takes a 2-1 series lead. So that's Game 3 of the Scrolls Invitational Open Qualifier. Winner gets to go into the 16-player tournament. Cash prizes on the line. But Artr0x could punch his ticket next game. So we're going to go with Game 4. See if Light can force a Game 5. This is Way to Fail. Hope you all enjoyed it. I will see you all next time.